Good morning, kiddos. It's your old friend Steve Stevenson, and I'm here to kind of kick off the M and W. The W and M, the MW, I don't either way, whichever way you say it, it stands for message and worship. And as always, kiddos, we're going to start it off with some worship. So go ahead and say hey to Miss Carrie, because here she is.
Hey guys, you ready to get your worship on? I have a song, you know I do. I have one or two today, probably two. Oh yeah, it is two, because it's always two. The first one is called Fear No More. And we did this one at VBS. I happen to be a huge fan of this one because it reminds me of a little quote that I have known for years and I love. And it says this: I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. And I think you guys know who holds tomorrow too, right? That's right, it's our God. He is already in tomorrow. Isn't that crazy to think about? Our God is not restricted by time like we are. Like for me, right now I know I'm just sitting here in my backyard, and I think in a few minutes I'm gonna be going to the store, but I don't know for sure because I don't know what's gonna happen between now and the next few minutes. Our God, He already knows. He already knows what's going to happen tomorrow. He knows what's going to happen next week. He knows what's going to happen next year and 50 years from now and, all of time. He knows it all, and He's already there, and He's already ready to take care of us and to fulfill every promise He's ever made to us. He is so true to His word. We can trust Him, which is why we can say, I will fear no more. Not because we won't fear, but because we know who holds tomorrow, and that is our God. So let's sing out Fear No More. Get on up, get up. Gotta do this one. It's super fun. I love this one.
I'm wishing I could see the finish line, where it ends, where it lands. Guess I lost my vision when the pain set in. Can I believe when I don't see? Can I really let it be out of my hands? When it's out of my hands, this isn't what I choose, but it's where I'm finding you. But I'm broken and undone. Your mercy's just begun. You overcome my doubt. Your hands are reaching out. You hold me through the storm, and I will fear no more. And I will fear no more. I will fear no more. I can't look into the future, but I know where you have been. Before me, after, and always within. Can I believe when I don't see? Can I really let it be out of my hands? 'Cause it's out of my hands. Oh, this isn't what I choose, but it's where I'm finding you. But I'm broken and I'm done. Your mercy's just begun. You overcome my doubt. Your hands are reaching out. You hold me through the storm, and I will fear no more. And I will fear no more.
right, guys, do you know what month it is? It's Thankful Month. It's November. Thanksgiving is at the end of this month. And this is a month that typically we just celebrate all the things that we have in our lives to be thankful for. Now, is this the only month that we can be thankful? Everyone go like this. No, no. In fact, thankfulness is kind of a superpower God's given to us. It can change our mood. It can change our minds, our hearts. And the Bible tells us in Thessalonians, God actually wants us to be thankful in all things. Now, is this saying that if we fall and break our arms, we can be like, I'm so thankful? No, it's not saying that. But it is saying that we always have things that we can look around and be thankful for. The number one thing being that God is God, that He is good, that we have His love no matter what we go through. Also, that He works in all things, that He can make beautiful things out of hard things, and also He gives us all kinds of beautiful things to enjoy no matter what's happening in our lives. So I thought this would be a great month to introduce a brand new song called Thankful. You ready? Get on up, here it comes.
I like to think about the goodness of the Lord. He gives me everything I need and so much more. So I just want to lift my hands and say that I love Him. I just want to lift my heart in praise. And I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember everything that the Lord has done. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to be I like to think about the goodness of the Lord. He gives me everything I need and so much more. So I just want to lift my hands and say that I love Him. I just want to lift my heart in praise. And I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember everything that the Lord has done. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember everything that the Lord has done. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. I want to be
Boy, oh boy, that worship was spectacular. I don't know about you kiddos, but I, for one, am thankful. See what I did there? I tied it in with Miss Carrie's theme for the month, Thankfulness Nativity. All right. Anyway, kiddos, one thing I'm also thankful for is the message this week. So let's go ahead and send it on over to Mr. Ryan and hear what he has to share with us.
What's up, kiddos? Today, I would like, if you're okay with it, to pause our progression through the story of the Bible. I'm not saying that we aren't going to talk about the Bible because we are, but I want to pause the story because we've been working our way forward, and today I'd like to talk about this. This right here. Do you see it? It's a chocolate bar with a little bit of sprinkle right there. That's a little bonus goodness right there. But I want to talk to you guys about donuts and bagels and bread and muffins and rolls. I want to talk to you about all of these incredibly delicious carbohydrates, these breads that are very, very tasty. We would all agree that donuts are tasty and bread is tasty. It's all really, really yummy. And it's part of the carbohydrate family, but notice I did not talk about this thing right here. This thing is also tasty. It's a tortilla. And to see the difference between the tortilla and the donut is this is breakfast, and this is usually not, well, I eat breakfast burritos now. Oh, yeah, here's what it is. Fluffy, flat. Fluffy, flat, flat, fluffy. See what I'm saying? One of them is fluffy, the other one is flat. They're both carbohydrates, they're both delicious, but this bad boy right there is not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the fluffy goodness of bread. You guys see that? Wow. If you look in there, it's kind of cool. There's little air pockets. I don't know if you guys can see that in there. It's really, I want to eat this, but I'll get to you later. Here's the deal. Why am I so concerned with pastries? Why am I so concerned with bread? Why am I so concerned with fluffy bread? Well, because in the story that we've been talking about, the story of how God created the heavens and the earth, and he created Adam and Eve, and there was sin, and how sin messed everything up, and how God chose Abraham to be the father of this giant family tree, and that one day, that family tree that would become known as Israel, that one day this family tree would be, there would be a branch in this family tree called Jesus that would be a blessing to all the other family trees. We've been talking about this story, but one of the most important things that we're going to find in this story is that God really, truly, deeply does not want the Israelites to mess around with fluffy bread. Well, kind of. Let me explain. See, here's the deal. The difference between fluffy bread and flat bread, like a tortilla, is that fluffy bread has something in it called yeast or leaven. Yeast is the same thing as leaven. Leaven is the same thing as yeast. And when you have dough and you mix in some yeast or leaven, what happens is this chemical reaction that makes it fluffy and delicious and soft. I need to put it down before I eat it. But here's the deal. This bread that has the yeast or the leaven in it, this is important because, you see, God talks about yeast or leaven, and he actually uses it as an example, or like an analogy, I think. I'm not sure, that might not be the right word, but he uses it as an example for sin. Now, there's several verses in the Bible where Jesus will say, you need to beware the yeast of the Pharisees. There's other ones in Galatians where it says a little bit of yeast will work through the entire dough. See, this idea of yeast, if you just take a big lump of dough and you put a little bit of this, like these teeny little like almost like powdery substance called yeast, you put it in there slowly but surely, that yeast will work through the entire lump of dough. And that is the exact point that Jesus is trying to make. He's trying to say that a little bit of sin in our life can affect the entire thing. And that's what God wanted the Israelites to understand way back when. You know, throughout the Old Testament, God would give the Israelites these feasts and festivals that he wanted them to celebrate on certain days of the year, kind of like holidays nowadays. And they had a number of different feasts and festivals, but one of the ones that God wanted them to celebrate was the festival of the unleavened bread, or the feast of the unleavened bread, I should say. And what they did is that the Israelite families would go through their house and they would find any bread or anything that they had in their house that had any leaven in it, and they would get rid of it. And I've read things that said that they would take it to the middle of their cities and they would burn all the leaven. And then I've actually read things that in modern day Israelite families or Jewish families, in certain communities, they'll actually do a thing where after they've gotten rid of all of the leaven, they'll have the father of the family go through and hide some crumbs of bread around the house. And then the kids will all get together and they'll start looking throughout the house. And if they find a crumb, they'll say, "Dad, I found a crumb." And all the kids will run over there. And the dad, I think he'll take a feather and sweep it into a brown bag and he'll close it up. And they'll take it to the middle of the town and they'll burn it. And it's a fun thing for the family to do, kind of like an Easter egg hunt, but it's also an incredible illustration for the family. It's an illustration that's intended to say that you can't just let sinful things just be a part of your life. If you know that something is sinful and wrong, you need to do what you can to get it out of here, get rid of it, because a little bit of yeast will work through the entire lump of dough. Because a little bit of sinful things in our lives can do a lot of damage in our lives. And this is a really important lesson for us. It's a really important lesson for the people back then, and it's what God really wanted them to get. As the Israelites had moved into the promised land, like we've talked about the last couple weeks, there's people around them that live in very different, very evil, wicked ways, doing things that I honestly cannot share with you because they're like rated R+. They're like really, really evil, wicked things that these people were doing. And that's why God says you cannot tolerate these people living in your towns. You need to get rid of them because a little bit of yeast can leaven the whole lump. So kids, the same is true for us today. We need to understand that if we're going to just allow things that are sinful to just be a part of our life, if we're going to allow ourselves to just kind of tolerate these things and let them be a part of our daily life, eventually they will affect a lot of our life. If we know that something is wrong, and we know that something is unhealthy, or that God says that you don't want to have this a part of your life, we should get rid of it the same way that those Israelite families would get rid of the leaven in their house. This is really, really important. Yeast and leaven are great illustrations for the destructive effect of sin. That's point one. You're like, what? Point one? We're almost done, and we're at point one? Let me tell you point two, and this is also super duper important. The same way that yeast can be used to illustrate sin and how it works its way through the entire lump of dough, or in this case, the entire donut, Jesus also talks about yeast and leaven in a good way. He actually says that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, is like yeast. If you put a little bit into a lump of dough, it can work its way throughout it, which to me is an awesome illustration. The same way that we need to be very careful about letting sin be a part of our life because it'll work its way through, God also says that if we choose to bring his kingdom of love and kindness and selflessness and compassion down to this world, you'll be shocked at how quickly it can begin to affect the world around us. It's kind of a cool thing when you think about it. Yeah, we need to be careful that sinfulness around us can have an impact on us, but we also need to realize that God invites us to bring some good yeast into this world, some love and some kindness and some faithfulness and some joy and all these wonderful fruits of the Spirit. He encourages us to bring that into this world and to watch how that can also spread. It's kind of cool. So kids, we're going to go ahead and get back into the flow of the whole progression through the Bible next week. But for this week, I just wanted to talk to you about donuts. I think I'm going to, wait, you know what? I'm going to get my teeth cleaned, which by the way, I don't enjoy at all because they scrape on your teeth. But I'm going to save you for later after I get my teeth cleaned. Anyway, kids, see you later. Bye.
Wowee, kiddos. I don't know about you, but my brain is full. I'll tell you, that message really taught me a few things. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm so mentally exhausted, I'm gonna go take a little brain break, a little naparooski, okay? Anyway, I can't wait to join you again soon for another M&W, but for now, Steve Stevenson is signing off.